Hello viewers, you are watching an Aces review. Tonight we'll be looking at a game called Arma II. Now this game was originally released in 2009 by Bohemia Interactive, and it is a highly realistic first-person shooter, with many features that are not present in more mainstream and casual games, such as Call of Duty, Gears of War, or even Battlefield. Now before I begin, I would first like to say that my video recording did cause some odd texture issues and things like that. It actually runs much smoother and nicer without the video recording. I should also mention that because this game is so big, I will only cover gameplay, graphics, and sounds, as editing anything else would make this review too big. Also, I will be reviewing the entire Arma II collection altogether, as in all the expansion packs, DLC, as well as one of the mods, but more on why I decided to talk about a mod at all later. As you can see, the game boasts 5 different campaigns, plus a ton of single-player offshoot missions, a boot camp section with 23 missions, and even an armory with every single thing in the game. In fact, if you have mods, it seems that the game will also keep a record of the stuff in the mods for you to try out. Of the 5 different campaigns, I should say that at least 3 of them require the expansion packs Operation Arrowhead, British Armed Forces, and Private Military Company. The mod I will discuss also needs Operation Arrowhead to run. Now what first makes this game so great is the fact that you can do everything from fighting on the front lines as an infantryman to driving tanks and Humvees, flying helicopters and airplanes, using boats, and even commanding separate companies and building bases RTS style. At the same time, none of these sections appear to really have been watered down to any degree. On foot, you'll notice that the weapons have realistic trajectories and will have a rainbow effect, especially at ranges over 300 meters. Also, the damage system is realistic, with one hit being enough to kill you. And this may come as a shock to Call of Duty fans, but it really is a service to this game to have this system. The reason I say this is that it gives extra tension, and even a nagging nervousness that you could be hit by someone who saw you before you saw him. Speaking of which, the combat in this game tends to occur at greater ranges than your normal FPS. You will routinely fight between 50 meters to over 500 meters, depending on what you're using at the time. So sharp eyes are very important to survival. The armory adds even more to this game, as Bohemia Interactive has a sense of humor, allowing you to play even creatures in the game, including a bunny rabbit. These trials even have their own little missions, such as an obstacle course, capturing enemy vehicles, or for animals trying to flee from poachers. It is a game that is impossible to criticize for a lack of content. The vehicles are also highly realistic in that they have limited fuel and can be damaged in specific areas. For example, the tracks in your tank could be knocked out without instantly killing you, unlike in more casual games. I should also make a note that the game needs this sort of variety for the level designs, as they tend to be set in entire provinces and even nations, with over 225 square kilometers in some places of battlefields to explore, fight, and skirmish in. You are a part of the action, but the battles can and will kick off at any time, without you involved at all. When you do get involved and help your allies, however, it does add a refreshing experience to FPS gaming in general. There are also role-play game elements, in that you take quests or side missions from allied guerrillas and soldiers to get valuable information on the enemy. Killing civilians, however, either deliberately or on accident, will result in these same folks possibly siding with your opponents. The controls, on the other hand, are not exactly streamlined, and while that may be a turn-off to some, it isn't too difficult to get the hang of and adds to the immersion. For example, there is a button that allows you to freeload without aiming your weapon. And while this isn't really needed, if you are wounded in the arm or something, you will see the bullet hole or the cuts from shrapnel on your character. But communication controls take up the most space, with the function keys, number keys, even the space key being for communication purposes and strategy. The graphics for this game were sound in 2009, and despite its age, I don't think too many will know the difference presently, and it certainly isn't a game breaker either way. The sound, on the other hand, is mostly good, but the voices like to pull off the old flight sim accent. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, a flight sim accent is saying something like, enemy bridge is at your 11 o'clock low. This isn't a game breaker either, and while it doesn't happen with a storyline dialogue, it still may be a bit of annoyance to some people nevertheless. Now this brings me to the mod in question, which is going to be called DayZ. It is a survival horror zombie mod to the core. Some of you are wondering why I'm talking about a mod at all when I could talk about the storylines, the multiple endings that the campaigns have, and yes, there are multiple endings to the campaigns. But the reason I have to mention this mod is because DayZ mod is so popular and so unique, it might even redefine the genre of zombie games altogether. This mod has made Arma II the top-selling PC game online, despite being over 3 years old. Gameplay for the mod sees the player start along the shore of a mysterious land, where an infection has caused an army of zombies to become reality. Food, water, and health are all very important here. Gamers have to scavenge for ammunition, hunt for food, and hide for survival. The zombies themselves are the fast-moving kind, but you can evade them, and they are not all that difficult to kill. But what really makes this mod is your fellow teammates and players. They can and will kill you for food and supplies if they believe that you have stuff that is more valuable than your own life. And that is what makes the mod so intriguing. But there is another thing that is a surprise, and that is this mod is highly persistent. When you leave a server and join up, even on a different server, you will spawn at the exact same location that you left, and with the exact same equipment. This is another thing that makes this mod so unique and intriguing. It is a true survival horror game in every sense of the word. Now before I leave, I have to add one more thing. When Arma II was originally released, there were a number of bugs for single player. And while many of these have been fixed, there are still some minor issues to be found with the original game. As always, none of them are game breakers, but this is a review, so I have to mention it. Also, DayZ mod is still on alpha phase, so don't expect it to be bug-free either. Now to conclude, Arma II is, despite being 3 years old, a genre-defying masterpiece of immersion, fun, and innovation. I cannot think of any other game where you can do everything from flying VTOL to running around as a rabbit, and nor with this amount of depth either. A new expansion pack has already been announced, added a brand new army, the Czech Republic, among other things, and it is even said that the DayZ mod will come standard in the upcoming 1.61 release patch for Operation Arrowhead. The entire collection can be bought online at Steam for just $55 and at GameStop for $65. Either place you go, you simply owe it to yourself to play Arma II.